A lot of men are walking around with the type of pain they never talk about. Not relationship pain, not heartbreak. I'm talking about the pain that started way before you ever loved a woman. The pain that came from growing up without your father. Yeah, that's right. The pain that came from hearing one version of the story about your father your whole life. The pain that came from being a boy trying to make sense of adult situations you were never old enough to understand. And now, you're a grown man, still carrying a wound you never looked deeper into. Still reacting to a story you never questioned. Still holding on to emotions that were handed to you before you even knew who you were. You can't let that hurt go until you face where it came from. If you grew up around mostly women like your mother, your grandmother, or your aunts, you grew up surrounded by one emotional angle, usually one interpretation, one explanation. And as a kid, you didn't have the ability to say, hold up, let me hear both sides. You didn't have the maturity to see the bigger picture. You didn't have the emotional tools to understand the complexity of what was happening between two adults. You just ran with whatever you were told, and that became your truth. That became your identity, and it also became the lens you saw your father through. But a child's understanding of a grown-up situation is not always incomplete. You were too young to see the full picture and the tension caused. Too young to understand the mistakes on both sides. And now, you're a man still holding on to a child's version of the story. Some of you were told your father didn't want you. Some of you were told he never tried. And some of you were told that he was jacked up. But not every father walked away because he didn't care. Some walked away because the environment was too chaotic. Some walked away because every attempt they made turned into an argument. The communication was impossible. Some walked away because they were young, unprepared, and didn't know how to navigate the situation. Some of them bounced because they were pushed out quietly, indirectly, or through family dynamics you were too young to understand. And some fathers didn't walk away at all. They were blocked, shut out, or talked about in a way that made it easier for everyone else to cope except him. You never heard any of that. You only heard the version that was easiest to paint your father in a bad light. Growing up without a father creates a silence that follows you into adulthood. It ain't really loud. It's not dramatic. It's subtle. It shows up in how you react to other men and how quickly you think somebody trying to try you. It will pop up when you feel disrespected. It shows in how you handle authority and how you interpret tone. And it's telling in how you respond to conflict. Some of you don't even realize that the anger you feel toward other men is often really anger toward the first man who wasn't there. Some of you don't realize that the distrust you have toward male authority comes from never seeing healthy male leadership. Some men don't realize that the defensiveness you carry comes from growing up in an environment where you were emotionally aligned with one side of the story. You didn't just grow up without a father. You grew up without balance. And that's facts. A lot of men defend their mother so fiercely that they can't even consider the possibility that the story they were told might be cap. Not wrong, just incomplete. You were loyal to the person who raised and fed you, to the person who protected you. That loyalty is natural, but that loyalty also made you emotionally blind. You never questioned anything because questioning felt like betrayal. You never asked for clarity because clarity felt disrespectful even after you reached adulthood. You never sought the truth because the truth might challenge the story you were raised on. And now you're a grown man, but you're still emotionally loyal to a childhood narrative that may not reflect the full reality. That's cognitive dissonance. This ain't about blaming your mama or trying to glorifying your father or choosing sides. This is about you, your healing, your clarity, your emotional freedom. because some of you are walking around with resentment toward a man you never even spoke to. Some of you are carrying anger towards someone you've never heard explain themselves. Some men are still repeating narratives that were never confirmed. Some of you are holding on to pain that doesn't even belong to you. And that pain is leaking into your relationships, reactions, triggers, and your identity. You can't heal if you refuse to re-examine the story. You can't grow if you refuse to seek clarity. You won't evolve if you refuse to see the situation through an adult lens. There are fathers who sent you money but you were never told about. Fathers who asked about you through relatives. There are fathers who tried to visit but were blocked. Some wrote letters that never reached you. Fathers who stayed away because every interaction turned into conflict that could have made things worse. Some of you were told, he doesn't want to see you, when that wasn't true. Some of these fathers were painted as villains because it was easier than explaining to you the truth. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know what happened behind closed doors in the conversations adults had that you were never meant to hear. And now that you're grown, you owe it to yourself to seek clarity, not for them, but for you. Some of you think you're angry at your father, but you're really angry at the confusion and unanswered questions. You are angry at the missing context and the emotional weight you had to carry alone. You low-key frustrated at the version of the story you were given and the fact that you never got to hear both sides. You were forced to choose a side before you even understood what sides were. And that anger didn't disappear when you became an adult. It followed you, it shaped you, it hardened you, it made you suspicious of men. It made you quick to react and become defensive. It made you emotionally guarded. You're not just carrying father pain, you're carrying childhood confusion. Check it. You're not a boy anymore. You're not powerless and dependent on one narrative. You're a man now. And men seek truth, not comfort. We seek clarity, not protection. Men seek understanding, not emotional loyalty to childhood stories. You don't have to excuse your father or blame your mama. You don't have to rewrite history, but you do have to look into it because healing requires perspective and perspective requires maturity. You owe it to yourself to understand your own story, not the version you were sold, but the version that you uncovered. You let go of relationship pain. You let go of heartbreak pain. Now it's time to let go of childhood pain, not by pretending it didn't happen, not by blaming anyone, not by rewriting the past, but by finally allowing yourself to see the full picture. You deserve peace. You deserve clarity. You deserve emotional freedom. And you deserve to live as a man who understands his story, not a man trapped inside the version he was given. Let that old hurt go, not for them, for you. And if you are a father now, you may be going through this right now. Hang in there, brother, and do the inner work.